Hello everyone, it's that time again. We have another Nintendo Direct, and only a few months after the last one, and I would say that kind of shows based on what they showed in this presentation. Overall, it was an okay show, but man, was a lot of time spent on embellishing on the games you just showed a few months ago. Let's go through this. I'm going to highlight the things that stood out to me. Splatoon 3 is getting some DLC, which is great. I mean, expected. I haven't played Splatoon 3 yet, but eventually I will, and this looks pretty fun. There's a Spy Family game, which is pretty funny. The anime is great and worth checking out if you haven't. I don't know what this game is, it's unlikely I will play it, but it's cool to see it show up here. It really has become a lot more mainstream. Super Mario RPG has shown off again, and they announced that there are some new features and changes to the game. I'm happy that they're not significant changes. I mean, they seem to be things that are just going to make the game even easier than it already is, because the game is very easy, but I like that it seems to still be true to its original essence. Visually, this game still looks very attractive. Princess Peach's game was shown off more here, now called Princess Peach Showtime, and I actually think this is one of the standouts of the show. This game looks really novel. It's like the kind of thing you'd see back in the GameCube era, of trying something really new with a character. The ability to transform into different things, like a sword fighter or a detective, I don't know, it looks really fun. I appreciate how different it is. You know, so many of the games that we see are like sequels or iterative things upon other existing titles, so to see something so new like this with a character who's existed for a long time but barely has any games of her own, I'm just really happy to see it. This honestly might be my favorite thing from the whole show. Looks very nice. This F-Zero 99 game I think is a really smart utilization of the property. I mean, they clearly don't want to put the full effort and funding into a real new F-Zero game. I'm not very familiar with this series, I have played the original one, but I think this makes sense to kind of get a gauge for interest in the series, as well as have something that is accessible for anyone with the online, that F-Zero fans can play, that new fans can play. This looks like something that is really good for the 99 player formula, and I hope they continue to make other things like this. While I don't think any will ever reach the success of Tetris or even the Super Mario one, they probably don't take too much effort to develop, and a lot of people can play them since you can access it just by having the online. So, good idea, good utilization of F-Zero. WarioWare Move It comes out surprisingly soon. It's really only a month and a half away. This looks like it could be fun. It's definitely a follow-up to Smooth Moves in terms of how you play this one, but it does visually look a little cheap, and I'm also not into Wario's new voice. Not that that really matters. This is the kind of thing that I would play, but I don't think I would actually spend money for. They showed a little bit about the final Mario Kart Booster Pass. Diddy Kong, Pauline, and Funky Kong were all pretty expected. Peachette's a stupid choice, but this is coming from somebody who uses Pink Gold Peach, so. Daisy Circuit, yeah, solid level. Didn't need to be here, but it looks nice. And then the final announcement of the show, which you think I would be more into, considering I am a big Paper Mario fan. A remake of Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door is finally coming to the Switch, something that people have wanted for a long time. I imagine a lot of people are super excited for this, and it looks alright. I like how true to the original that it is, but I don't know about this lighting. There's something very faded and muted about it all. The original pops so much. It's a very colorful, vibrant game. But here there's like a dullness to it. It's like everything looks dusty. I don't know how to explain it. It might look better running on the actual Switch itself. Again, I am happy that this is very true to the original. The way everything moves, the way everything's set up, it definitely looks like it's not trying to deviate, which I am happy about. But I also wonder what the deal is with announcing this game now. I mean, we've had an absolute bevy of Mario games and announcements. The Mario RPG remake is coming out in just a few months, and they just announced a remake of another RPG. You have the Princess Peach game, you have Super Mario Wonder. They even announced that Mario vs. Donkey Kong game in this. The Luigi's Mansion 2 game is essentially Mario, so if you're a Mario fan, you have a lot to work with. I'm happy for the people who want to play Thousand Year Door, who wanted a remaster. Go for it. This looks like it'll be true to the original title. I just have no interest in playing it. I've played the original Thousand Year Door many times, including earlier this year, so I'm not picking this up, but great for everybody who wanted this. I'm hoping they don't change much about the actual game design of Thousand Year Door, despite all the flaws that it has with backtracking and level design. I much prefer a remake or a remaster that stays as true to the original as possible while just cleaning it up visually and technically in a few areas. But that's really it for the show. Like I said, they went over a lot of stuff that they covered a few months ago. These Nintendo Directs are fairly bloated. They seem to like the 40-minute Direct. They're very formulaic at this point in how they're presented. In hitting the 40 minutes, so much time is spent on stuff that just really doesn't need to be in the show, like the trombone game, for example. We didn't need to see more Detective Pikachu returns. We didn't need to see Luigi's Mansion 2 again. They had a few cool new announcements, and they created a whole Direct around that, filling in the spaces with stuff that is just kind of okay, you know, very niche things, games that aren't going to make headlines and nobody's really going to even know about. And it's good for them to have a platform on things like this, but I would say the quality of Nintendo Direct announcements is pretty diluted by this point. I go into these expecting a lot of filler, and I was not let down at all this time. The previous Nintendo Direct at least announced a lot of the new things, and this was only a few months later. I'm not surprised they didn't have a whole bunch of new things to show. I suppose there was enough here to warrant it. While not mind-blowing by any means, it's okay because there's a lot of great stuff to look forward to in the future, especially if you like Mario games. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, guys. Let me know what announcements meant the most to you, and I'll see you next time.